And we still have some more people coming in. We have someone here who is identified as a Zoom user, but if you could be a little bit more specific, I'm just a little bit paranoid about people who haven't registered or who I don't know.
Isn't that the person who just
Just
lost?
I don't I think it's somebody else because Carol,
Oh,
you're talking about Carol Delton.
yeah.
Yeah, she just signed out. So we have more people coming in. So again, if there's someone by the name of Zoom user, if you could identify yourself. Carol, we see you now.
Great, great. I'm going to go get a
Wonderful.
cup of coffee and I'll be right back.
All right, there's nothing like rebooting to get things to work. And
Exactly.
I see Michelle is with us, and our Vice President Jarrett Ross is with us. And Talia, welcome again. Thank you. So nice to see you at the last meeting as well. Meadow, we don't see you. There we go. Now we see you on screen. We have,
Deborah, it's Barb Siegel and mine says Zoom user. My name used to be there, but I don't know what happened to it.
I can add your name to you, Barbara. Um,
Terrific. Thank you.
and let me ask you, you're not on camera, but do you want to be?
No.
All right, didn't get
But
your hair
thank you
done.
so much. Thank you.
That's all right.
All right.
Ava,
Yes. Thank you.
Ava is here, and Todd, she takes the most wonderful notes. So if you misspeak, we're gonna see it again in writing. Just wanted you to know that.
Wonderful.
Karen is joining us. Rusty is joining us. Lee is joining us. Wow, Barbara, you're going to have a large group of people here to control. It's like herding cats, isn't it?
Good.
I know. It's great to see such a good group. And I think it's because the topic is of such interest to us. I can only speak for myself, but I have been grateful to um, the Mormons and their industriousness in getting these records and keeping these records because that's where I found my family at first. Well, it looks like it is just a couple of moments after 1 o'clock, and I'll keep letting people in. But Barbara, I'm so glad to say, I'm relieved to say, is going to be hosting the meeting. So, Barbara, I'm going to get that agenda up for you, and you just tell me when you want me to advance to the next slide, okay?
Okay.
And you should be able to see my screen now. Is that correct, everybody?
I can see it.
Okay, wonderful. All
Uh,
right.
welcome, welcome to the 122nd meeting of the Triangle Jewish Genealogical Society. Um, we record this session so that Ava can take notes and that people can listen if they were not able to attend today. Um, we have some guests here today. Uh, Barbara Siegel, John Robinson, Carol Dalton, our guest. Wave if you're a guest. And we did want to mention that guests are getting a free membership year for 2026. So if you know of anybody who wants to join, this is the time to do it.
And we do hear somebody talking perhaps on their phone. So if you would mute yourself, I don't want to mute everybody because that would mean I would mute our guest temporarily as well as mute Barbara, and I don't want to do that either.
Um, we have 4 new members of our group. And I know some are here. Fred Nesvet is here, Lorraine Meehan, Ann Middleman, and Carol Rosenhoft. Welcome to our group. And we hope you have many years of learning about your ancestors with our JGS. We have a treasurer's report from our treasurer, Dave Zendels.
David, you'll have to unmute yourself too.
I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Okay. There's been a little bit change since last month's. Actually, we have 14 new members, paying members. I prepared this report a few days ago, but we've got new members that signed up since then. Our bank balance is about the same as it was last month, within couple of $100 difference. Hopefully, we'll have more of a higher bank balance by the time we get to the end of the year with our new due structure. Not much more to say, except if anybody is at the meeting today that haven't paid their dues, this is a good time to pay up for 2026, and hopefully rest of November and December, we'll get more members. And we're looking forward to our next meeting when we have Come From Away. No, that's something else.
Our Hanukkah party.
Hanukkah party.
Hanukkah party, and also this movie.
Yes, everything is illuminated. We're going to talk about that too.
Everything is illuminated. So,
well, thank you, David. It's good to know that you are helping the organization keep itself financially on the straight and narrow path. And I'm sure that our speaker is relieved to see that his check will clear.
It should clear. Well, we don't know how much he's going to charge, but.
Oh, well, I know, and I'll share that with you afterwards.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Does anybody have any questions for David? Okay, thanks, David. Our Vice President, Jared Ross, has an announcement.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if there's a way I can get to share my screen for a second.
Sure you can.
Perfect. So, right now, I am currently working to have some Triangle Jewish Genealogy events happen along with Chabad Young Professionals. For those who aren't familiar, Chabad Young Professionals is a Chabad based around young professionals between the ages of about 20 to 40. And we are going to be involved in what you see on screen, which will be the work from shul. So they just opened up a synagogue downtown that they call the Shul Downtown. It's at 225 South Wilmington Street, which is like 2 doors over from Beasley's Chicken and Honey. And they are going to be doing every once in a while what they call work from shul, basically just having it where people can come and use it as a workspace. And what I've come up with is that at the work from shul, we will have what's called the genealogy corner. So what we want is volunteers to just go, you hang out at the work from shul in the genealogy corner, and then as people are working or taking breaks or whatever, then they can come up and spend some time and learn about their family, have us pull up records, things like that. And the big idea of this is to really get the genealogy bug for that younger crowd that they're working all the time, so it's hard for them to do it. At this event, they are going to have drinks available. They are going to be providing a lunch as well. So if anyone's around there for the lunchtime, but this will be from 9 a.m. all the way to 5:30. And I'm hoping to find a couple of people that might be willing to volunteer to spend some time hanging out there and helping people with their genealogy. I already did get, I believe Al had mentioned that he'd be coming, and I'll obviously be there as well. But whoever would be wanting to volunteer for this, please send me an email at genievlogger@gmail.com, and I'm going to put that email in the chat because I know it's not the most straightforward in the pronunciation and how it's actually spelled. But once everyone emails me, my hope is that we might be able to kind of split times up and have it where, we have someone there almost the whole time, because I imagine very few of us would want to be there the whole time. So I don't know if there's any questions for me about this. Happy to take them, but if not, then hopefully I'll hear from a couple of you.
Could I ask you, Jared, to please put that information, the date and the time, in the chat again for us?
Yes.
And Jared, do you have any future dates set up as yet?
So I actually do have a future date set up currently with them for another event. In terms of another work from shul event, they have not set a date yet. I believe their eventual plan is to actually open it up where it's going to be open up multiple days within every week, but they're going slow. So this will actually be the second one. The first one technically had a genealogy corner because I was there and chatting with everybody. And next thing I knew, I was building everybody's family tree. And that's why it gave me the idea for the whole thing because everyone was so intrigued with it. So we will hopefully have more of these as well. And a big hope with this is that this will also bring in a lot of new membership and even better, younger membership. So we can really build up our force again.
Okay. I mean, the reason I ask is just because this is so close before Thanksgiving that a lot of people are going to have family coming in from out of town or are getting ready for Thanksgiving. I think like in future, when it's not a big holiday coming up, you'll probably have a lot more volunteers.
Yeah, I agree as well. I agree as well. So hopefully we'll have lots more of these coming up as well.
And I'll be writing about them in Michigas and our newsletter for our new members. We put out a newsletter every other month. The next one is coming out December 1st. So I'll have some of this information from Jared there as well. Jared, I know you said you were looking for younger members. You're not implying that we're old though, are you?
I just know that whenever it comes to the genealogy world, that's the number one thing I hear is how do we get the younger crowd interested?
Well,
So
just in case you were making fun of how old we are, just remember Woody Allen once said, we mock, or I think it was Mel Brooks, we mock the things we are to be. And if you're lucky, you'll get to be an old genealogist,
I
right?
hope I get that opportunity.
Okay. Well, I know I appreciate your fervor, and I think this idea of doing reach outs and separate and one-on-one tutoring is a great idea. And thank you so much for doing that.
My pleasure. My
I'll
pleasure.
be able to volunteer for a couple of hours.
There you
on the
go.
10th. Yeah.
You got another
Perfect.
volunteer, David.
Perfect. Yeah, send me an email. We'll get everything planned out.
Okay. Barbara, let's go back to the agenda. You want to tell everybody about this exciting event we have coming up on December 7th?
December 7th is our annual Hanukkah party. We've had many of these and had a great time. We're going to see the movie Everything is Eliminated and have a special guest, which I'll let Debbie tell you about, and our annual Hanukkah celebration with food and prizes. Everything is Illuminated is a classic film from 2005. It's biographical comedy drama written and directed by Liev Schreiber. The film is based on the book by Jonathan Safran Foer, a young American Jew who went on a quest to Ukraine to find Augustine, the woman who saved his grandfather during the Holocaust. He searched for a small town called Trochenbrunn, which was wiped off the map when the Nazis liquidated Eastern European shtetls. The film will resonate with you on several levels. It's about heritage travel or how not to do heritage travel. It's about Holocaust research, and it's about finding your family's story, the good and the bad. So that's December 7th.
Mm-hmm.
On January 11th, we will hear Marlis Humphrey talking about the new era of Jewish genealogy using AI and other new technologies. And on February 22nd, our friend Christine Cohen, I think this will be her third or fourth visit to us, will be talking about cemeteries, who lies beneath. But the best news is that we have a new meeting place. And the meeting place is the Cary Chamber of Commerce, and it's in downtown Cary. Those of you who've lived here a long time may remember that downtown Cary had Cary High School and quite a few stores and was really identifiable as downtown. Today, I think people probably think Fenton is downtown Cary, but it's pretty much equidistant from where most of our members live. And it has been fully investigated and approved by the Mike Call School of Meeting Arrangements. Mike has gone there, measured the rooms, checked out the technology, checked out the parking, and said it is a good place for us to meet. And there is good parking. So I think that will help. If you're going to bring any guests to the December 7th meeting, please register them as well as yourself, and please bring snacks to share.
Will this be the location every time we meet in person?
Not
Um,
not every time,
yeah.
Okay.
but
We'll be going back and forth. What's great about this place, Ava, is that it's only $50 for our organization to use as a nonprofit. And there was, you might remember at the board meeting, a discussion about being more attentive to the needs of our members who are over in Cary and
Yeah.
Fuquay. We'll see. I'm going to go over there on December 2nd and double check it, and then we'll all see what it's like on December 7th. It's not going to be a virtual meeting. You have to show up in person, and I would really appreciate it if everybody would register because I need to know how many goodie bags to bring and how many presents to bring for everybody. Also, I do need a couple of people to step up and help me with this meeting by coming in early. The only downside is while they have a coffee maker, they don't have free coffee supplies. So I'll need somebody to pick those up for us and to come early and greet people, make name tags, maybe help move some of the seating around because we're going to be sitting theater style. But fingers crossed, Ava, we'll all like this space and that 30 minutes is not too far for anybody to go. How does that sound?
we'll try it out.
We'll try it out. Well, this
Right,
is what
the price is right.
yeah, the price is absolutely right. And it looks like Mike, I don't know if you want to comment about what you saw at the facility and tell us why you gave it a good review. You're muted, Mike.
It basically has all of the stuff we need. It's a conference room setup, but we can set it up like a classroom. It's got a big screen. It's got microphones and so on. It's got good parking. It's actually a rare opportunity to find free parking in downtown Cary.
Yeah.
And it's fairly centrally located. It's about 8 minutes, straight shot into town off of I-40. So got 2 thumbs up from me.
Okay. And that was good enough for me, especially when some of our other venues weren't big enough for our annual Hanukkah party, which usually has about 40 people. And the Chapel Hill Library was not available to us December 7th. So we'll see how it goes. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, Everything is Illuminated, I think you'll find that you'll laugh, you'll cry, and everything in between. And as Barbara mentioned, we do have someone who's going to be making a special appearance in by Zoom. We also have a TGAGS member whose family is from Trockenbrod. So this was a very special town. And as you'll see from watching the movie, Jonathan Safran Foer's attempts to go back and find this town were extremely clumsy. So we'll get a chance to talk about heritage travel. I know a number of you have done it, Bill Batty, a number of you have gone back to your roots, and we can talk about the right way and the wrong way to do it. So, and if you have any questions about that, I think you all know where to reach me. Okay, Barbara, I think
All
we're
right.
ready for our speaker.
Our speaker, who has been waiting patiently, is Todd Knowles. He is the Deputy Chief Genealogical Officer at the Family History Library in Salt Lake City, Utah, or as we like to call it, the Mothership. He was first introduced to family history when he was 12 and discovered his Jewish roots. The journey to find these Polish Jews has led to the creation of the Knowles Collection, 6 databases that as of October 1st, 2020, contain the genealogical records of more than 1.4 million people. Todd has spoken throughout the world and his articles have been widely published, and we are ready and anxious to hear you speak.
That's right. All right, I'm going to stop screen sharing and again, formally welcome Todd, not only to the Triangle Jewish Genealogical Society, but a belated welcome to the tribe.
Well, thank you very much. I'll get my screen up here. I should tell you the whole story about finding my Jewish roots.
Please.
I was one of 4 boys growing up. You know, I had a horrible life. My only assignment all week was to be responsible for doing the dishes after our Sunday dinner. It was a horrible life. But you know, a teenage kid, the last thing he wants to do is sit down and do the family dishes. You know, we didn't have a dishwasher, so that was even horrible. So in a religious meeting I was attending, they announced they were to have a family history class. And it was at the exact time on Sunday that I would be doing those dishes. So I thought, I've got to go to this class, but that way I can get out of doing the dishes. That started my family history journey, because the very first assignment in that class was they gave us a blank pedigree chart and says, you have to go home and fill this out. Well, so I went home from that class and was totally heartbroken to find out they'd saved the dishes for me. But as I filled out that pedigree chart, there was one name that quickly became apparent that it did not match the other names. And that name was my great-grandfather, Moses David Rosenbaum. And I said to my dad, it was on his side of the family, I said, what do you know here? Well, my dad's idea of family history is as long as he doesn't have to do anything, he's happy to hear about it. So he said, call your grandmother. Well, that was the biggest mistake he made, because we lived about 20 miles from my grandmother. And when I called her, she says, you tell your dad to get you down here right now. So we spent the rest of the day, my dad in total pain, having to do family history. And she filled me in on the family. And from that day till now, so that was when I was 12. So for the last 20 years of my life, anyone who buys that story, thank you. Since that day, it's been this drive to find my Jewish family. And it's led to some amazing things, some amazing journeys and experiences, and amazing new friends. So it's been great. But that's the true story behind why I started. It was not a glamorous beginning. It was avoiding the dishes. But so I am excited to be here. Let me take care of a couple of quick things real fast. First off, I'm always asked, do you have a handout for this presentation? And I don't. And let me tell you why I don't. It's because everything you're seeing here, I've tried to update to the current day. And some of this stuff I will show you, and I'll show you where it is, changes so fast that I do a handout today and a week from now it's going to be outdated. So what I do instead is the very last slide of this presentation will be my email address. And if you have any questions along the way, whether it be tomorrow or a year from tomorrow, feel free to email me and say, Todd, I don't understand this, or can you help me with this? And I'm happy to help. Or anytime your society wants, you know, a 10-minute update, feel free to ask. I'm happy to do it, or whatever I can do to help. I mean, this is what we're all here for. We had a little discussion before the meeting started about the Family History Library in Salt Lake. Let me give you a little update on the library. We are undergoing some major renovations. Library's open, but it's, for those of you who've been there, you know that it's on one block away is the Salt Lake City Mormon Temple, which is for the last 6 years has been undergoing a major renovation, make it earthquake proof, all those kind of things. And it's due to open in 2027. And that year they're expecting, so they have about a 6-month open house where you can come tour it and all that kind of thing. And that year they're expecting 5 million visitors. So the library, which is maybe a 100-yard walk, is being updated and new things added and all kinds of things to get ready for that. So everything's open, everything's available, but there's things going on to make it even better for people coming in. In fact, the very first slide, let me show you this, and that maybe it'll make a little more sense. So this is a picture from inside the library. you'll notice all the books, 600,000 books. Well, a lot of the books have now been taken away. A lot of the microfilm has been taken away because we, about 20 years ago, we said, you know what, we've got to digitize everything. We've got to make it available for people. And that'll be a big part of what we're going to talk about in a minute. But so everything that was under, that we had copyright availability to, that we could use, we digitized and made it available online. So we have 2.5 million rolls of microfilm in the collection of Family Search, almost 2.5 million now. And then we have the 600,000 books and stuff. Well, a lot of that's been digitized. So before, of the 5 floors, about 3 of them were just full of microfilm. Now the microfilm corner is about a third of 1 floor because they're available online. Is everything available online? The answer is no. And the reason is we are still, we obey copyright. If you have something under copyright, you know, we don't put it on there. We're very careful about that. And then we're also, if someone donates a book to us, or an archive, a society, or whatever, if it's still under copyright, if they don't give us permission, we do not put it out there where you can access it. And when I get to the book section of what we're going to talk about, I'll show you how that works. But so this is what the library looked like. And it says this is as of the end of 2023, because I don't have the 2024 numbers. I'm sorry. 2.4 million rolls of microfilm, 600,000 books, 17,000 maps. We have records from 110 countries with over 170 languages. Some of those countries do not exist anymore, but they're there. And if you're in a Family Search library or one of the associate libraries around the country, you get free access to things like Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, some of those sites through agreements we've reached with them. So I'm sure something else will come up and I'll throw it out, but let's talk about this. So the Family Search Library has over 13.5 billion searchable names, has 5.7 billion, those are with a B, digital images. And I'm going to show those. Now, when you go on and do a search for a name, a lot of those are not indexed. They're not included in this 13.5 billion searchable names. And we have Jewish records now. We talked about that earlier, that when the gentleman, sorry, I don't remember the name exactly, when he went, they didn't have a lot of those Jewish names in the collection. This record you see behind you here, behind this, is a record from Fordon, Poland. This is synagogue records from Fordon. This happens to be where my family is from. And it kind of got cut off on this screen, but I'll show it to you later. That bottom record where it says number 1, that is in 1824, that is the first record in my family after they adopted the surname Rosenbaum. And I'll show that a little bit more later. But you can see we have the records. We have the largest collection of Polish synagogue records in the world. I mean, it's amazing. So, and we'll go through all those, but just showing you how many, we have a ton of records. So what are we going to discuss today? We're going to discuss, in pretty much this order, it may actually full text search, which is the red one there, the highlighted red, will probably be more near the bottom because quite frankly, that blows people's socks off. And if I show it to you first, well, we might as well just shut down and you can go have fun. But full text search is just totally groundbreaking, tree building, rock wall knockdown, amazing stuff. And we'll show some of that. But these are for the most part in the order they would appear on Family Search. Here is the title page of Family Search. And all we're doing is we're going to go to the search button and we're going to go down through those records, those columns right there, records, full text, images, so forth. Some of them we just may talk about for a second, but some we're going to hit. Now, the bottom 2, cemeteries and newspapers, I'm not going to hit because of the fact they're so brand new that they're not very complete yet. And so maybe later we can have another thing on how to use those. But so we're going to go down in this order. So records. If you go to the records tab, it's going to look like this. And there are 3 ways to get records off Family Search. The top one is the historical records. That's where you just enter a name, a location, whatever you have. Now, remember, if you have a common name, when you have in the billions of records, if you have a common name, you're going to get a lot of records. So you may have to sometimes play with it a little bit, add this, take this away. But so, for example, here it is, search historical records. I'm just going to put in a place, not even a name, and just put in New York. And as you can imagine, that's going to be a lot. But what it does when you bring that up, these are the first ones that appear out of New York. 687 million records that deal in some way or shape or form with New York. That's a lot of records. But the important thing about this, so these come from billion graves. Again, we have agreements with everyone, and we have records from billion graves. We have Find a Grave. We have others. If you click on where their name is highlighted blue, it will give you a complete record. But over the far right, this is what I wanted to show you off of this. You have two things there. You have one that looks like a piece of paper with a camera in the middle, and the other one's just a piece of paper. The piece of paper by itself means that this record has been indexed. So someone has gone in, found it, and we've indexed it and so forth. The record with the camera in the middle seems it includes the image. So if you see with the camera, it means the original image, and we're going to go in through a lot of those, and so you'll see what those images look like. But on anything you deal with, those two things are important. So that's the first way. The second way is to go to Browse All Collections, where that blue line is. And if I click on that, it takes me to this. Now, I wanted to show you how fast this is changing. So you notice top there, it says there's 3,416 records. Well, this is probably a month old, that document. Now is getting closer to 4,000 collections. But what's important here, now, I didn't think for a minute everyone in this society would have Alabama records that they were looking for. The reason that's up there is because it's all in alphabetical order, so Alabama is the first location that comes up. I wanted to show you that. I did this once for a group out of London, and they couldn't believe I was trying to show them how to do Alabama records. But it's alphabetical order. And look at the sheer size of some of these collections. The very top one, Alabama County Marriages, over 6 million records. And as you go down that list, there are a lot of them like that. It shows you the title name, how many records, and when it was last updated. And you can see some of those are updated very recently. And then you'll notice the paper. The camera means it has the original images. Most of these are not indexed, so you have to kind of go in there and play with it a little bit. But if you go up to where it's got last updated, the date there at the top of that third column, and you click on that, it will then put them in order. This was done on September 2025. If you put them there, it puts them in order by the last updated. So if you're researching a location and you go here, and let's say the last time you looked at it was 2021, whatever, March of 2021. Well, now I go to it and it says it was updated in September of 2025. I know I've got to go in there and do more research because there's been more added. However, if what I have on my own records is I looked at it in March of 2025, but it hasn't been updated since 2023, I know it hasn't been updated since I went in there. So it can kind of help you direct where you're researching. And then all those have the original image attached. We used to wait, this is 15, 20 years ago. We used to wait until we got the entire collection before we put it online. And we used to also try to get it all indexed. Well, people have contacted us and said, listen, we're smart enough. If you give us the database, we know kind of the general time frame the marriage took place, for example. Why don't you let us have access and we can go through there and try to find that date on our own. And so we're all for that. Because in the old days with microfilm, let's say we had someone sitting in an archive in London. By the time they got the books out, put them on the camera to take the picture, they'd take a picture, have to turn one page, go through this whole setup again and everything. it could take 2 to 3 even longer years before from that picture being taken until that record was in the collection. It just took so much time because of the old cameras. Now we have the digital cameras. It is possible that if we took a picture in London this morning of a document, a marriage record, it is possible it could be online that same day. It's just staggering. So everything's picking up speed. We're getting better and better at what we do, and more records are available. So that's how you get to these. Now, the third way is over here where you can search by location. Now, if you click on this, it takes you to, in my own humble opinion, one of the ugliest maps I've ever seen. But forgive us for that. The colors are just whatever. So it's by region. And if I click on where the arrow is there, it's going to take us, and this is continental Europe. I'm going to search, and I'm going to search Hungary. And when I go there, the very first thing it gives you just a brief synopsis of what records are available and so forth. And the most important thing is the View Wiki for Hungary. We're going to talk about the wiki in a little bit. The wiki is amazing. So when you go here, what you can do is you can get the Learning Center where there's thousands of classes loaded in that you can watch for free. You can watch them over and over if you want. Gazetteers, languages, all that for all countries. It's amazing. So it just gives you a brief synopsis. But if you learn the wiki, it's going to get you there. So why all these records? Well, it's what I like to call making the world a little smaller. So these are all examples of records that came out of those collections, most of which are not indexed. This first one I'm going to show you is my absolute favorite. So this is Barbados. The title of this collection is Barbados Church Records. And I know right now everyone just rolled their eyes and said, Todd, this is a class on using family search for Jewish research. So why do we have a Barbados Church Records collection? Well, let me tell you, if you take a look at this page, you'll see that that's not very much Church of England record right there. I found this totally by accident. I was looking, someone asked me to help them with a Barbados Church of England record. Barbados Church of England is mostly military from when the British controlled. But as you look at this document, there's nothing on there that looks Church of England to me. Gives you the dates, Hebrew and English, if you will. And then over on the far right, it tells you the name and how old they were when they died. So what is this record doing in a Church of England church record? Well, to use a modern term, it looks like someone cut and pasted it out of another book and put it in here. There's about 20 pages just like this one that are cut and pasted in the center of the Church of England record. And it's amazing. So this, if you look at, let's go about halfway on the page there where you see on the 10th of October of 1780, Isaac Lindo, age 54 years, died. So that means he was born roughly 1726. These are records that go back a good time frame. And you'll notice there's four people who died on the 10th of October of 1780. Why? What was going on? How come they're all there? Well, let me tell you. It's one of the greatest hurricanes of all time. And 200-mile-an-hour winds, 20 to 30,000 dead, 40 French ships, 19 Dutch ships. That's what caused that on that date. So I guess my lesson here is when you're searching, if you have Jewish family in Barbados and you say there's no records that exist, if there's records that have the same time frame, just take a moment and look at them and see if there's some kind of clue there. Because this, if you're just looking for the Jewish records out of Barbados, you'll never find this. There's nothing that says it. It's all strictly Church of England, except as you can well see, this is obviously Jewish records. So that's one. This is another one of my all-time favorites. So they just got out of Hong Kong, and the title of the record is the China Cemetery Records, 1820 to 1983. There's nothing really that tells you Jewish. and most people, you say, I'm looking at cemetery records in China. The first thought that comes to mind is not going to be Jewish. But it's identified here as the Jewish cemetery. It was also known as the Happy Valley Cemetery. This was a record that was made when the cemetery was moved from one location to another. And let me tell you, one of the things that's really funny about this record is if you're traveling anytime soon to Hong Kong, my own personal opinion is you may want to avoid the Shamrock Hotel. Because you'll notice the first three people who listed on that list all died in the Shamrock Hotel. And if you do stay at the Shamrock Hotel, I think you want to avoid room 602. But I don't know. Now, TripAdvisor will not give you that information, but you have it here for free. But so this is another record that you wouldn't first think that's a Jewish record, but there it is. Now, here's one of my favorites. This is out of Brazil. Now, that handsome gentleman is my great uncle. So my ancestor, Moses David Rosenbaum, who came from Poland, he had two sisters who married Oser brothers. And one of them, this is their son, Harry Jonas Oser. And I'll show another record of him later when we get into some other things. But this record, there are about 15 million images from this collection. It's now broken into a collection for each location. But what it was, this is from Brazil. This is an immigration record. As far as we can tell, he only lived in Brazil for about 3 weeks. And it was as he was traveling back from Europe to go to his home in San Francisco. But everyone came in, had to fill out the document and have their picture taken. This is we just found another one. So now we have two pictures of him. But this was the only picture we had of him. And if I put my ancestor Rosenbaum up next to him, they could almost be twins. But the information on here is incredible. Harry Jonas Oser, date of birth, the 14th of September, 1885. His parents are Morris and Rose Oser. He's an engineer, and he's living at 2539 Larkin in San Francisco, which is where my Jewish family from Poland was to the Bay Area. And there's that. So this is done in 1953. So he's 68 years old, but yet it gives you his mother and father. What an incredible record. So, and in fact, if you go into the collection, I can find his wife and a brother and one nephew. And it has their pictures as well. It's amazing. Now, some of them are just very straightforward. This is out of South Africa, and it's just civil marriages out of South Africa. Nothing in the title says Jewish, so you have to kind of use it. And it's a marriage record, 1936, of Barney Cohen and Essie Slominski. He was 31, she was 24, and amongst other things, down in the bottom center, you notice it gives you the name of the rabbi who was there, performed the marriage. So great information. Tells you he's from Cape Town, she's from Durban. Little bits of information, but it's not a South Africa Jewish record. It's a South Africa civil marriage. So it's amazing. Here's one application for a marriage license. This is Israel Cohen and Lottie Abramson. This is a second marriage. Well, they were both previously divorced. We don't know if it was a second marriage or more. I don't know. But he was living in Miami Beach. She was living in Cleveland. He was from Russia. It gives you where they were from, all that. And it's just a marriage record from Broward County, I believe, that in the Florida collection. So another great source of records. I'm hoping, if anything, what this is doing is just spurring a little thought that, oh, maybe I can look there, maybe look that. We'll get into the rest stuff in just a moment. We have 1869 census of Argentina, where they are identified by religion. You notice the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are listed as Israelite, and the last 3 are as Catholic. Great record and pretty good to read. This is actually one long document that I had cut in half, but these are New Orleans passenger lists. And you notice the third one down is Moses Cohen, who is from Panama, and all this place of birth. He was born in Cyprus, in the British West Indies. So pretty great information on the record. Jamaican, and this is a little, I know it's a little, not a blur, I apologize. This is a Jamaica civil registration, birth registration. This is a prominent Jewish family. Lisa Rebecca, daughter David Philippe Cohen Henriquez. And there's the mother with her maiden name, Salmon, and so forth. So great records. Get some from Massachusetts that are very simple, but there's Abraham Cohen's death, 27 February 1900. But over the right, it tells you his parents and where they were from. And that's a record out of Boston. So a lot of records can be found there. That's just a few. We could go on, but we need to get everything in there. So images. And why are these different? These are the ones that have not been indexed. And as they're filmed, they're just put in there. If you go to the next page of images here, so what you can do is, it's got multiple search. You can just search at the top, find a collection if you want, or you can go to the bottom there and access, access billions of documents is what it says. I'm just going to put in Poland. A lot of records, I know. This is what comes up. And you'll notice they're just there for you. It's just the images. And there's 342,000 results. And it's got all the locations. All it says, so it's got dates, the top, we'll do the second one down, 1798 to 1822. And it just says religious death records. That's all the title says. When these are first microfilm, that's all that comes through. 410 images, and it gives you everything. That fourth one down is the one I'm going to highlight here. But when you push on it or click on the link there at the bottom of the right, when you click on that link, it comes up like this. I know what you're saying right now, Todd. None of us can read that. But this is how it comes up on your computer. This is what, about 16, 17, 18 pages. And when you click on the one that is for you, it's not much easier to read on my computer to you, but when you bring it up, you'll see it's the absolute marriage record or whatever it may be. It's interesting to me the languages it's in. When it says languages, Ladino, Polish, and Russian. So to me, that's fascinating. Now, this is a Catholic Church record, but why is it important to look at a Polish Catholic Church record? Quick quiz. I know everyone knows you're just muted, but my own family from Forden, Poland, at a certain point, it became the law in Poland that the Catholic Church was in charge of registering a birth, marriage, and death. It's that way throughout the world. It's the countries in, the official government religion is usually responsible by law for the recording of birth, marriage, and death. So in Poland, after a certain point, 1860s, the birth, marriage, and death records of the Jewish community you can find in the Catholic Church records. Doesn't mean they were Catholic. It doesn't mean anything other than they were just, that was who was responsible for recording them. Are they still in the synagogue record? Sure. But it was also a Catholic Church thing. So these records are not indexed. You're going to have to read it yourself. You can make it large or small or whatever, but you can go in there and you can read that document. Okay. As they get indexed and so forth, or as they're added into full text search, which we'll talk about in a minute, it become easier and easier. Okay. So that's images. So family tree, I'm just going to do so fast because I think everyone, when they get in, when you go into family tree and you add your information in for your own account, accounts are free. It takes about 2 minutes to sign up. This is my own tree. I'm down there in the kind of the bottom center. And as we go up the top, so it's got my mom and dad above me, and then my grandparents, great grandparents. And you'll notice that there's on here, it's Morris David Rosenbaum. He went by Morris, so that's there. But if you pull up his page, it says also known as Moses David, so forth. But that's my tree. And if I click on him, Morris David, if I click on just him, it brings up a page that has all of his information. Birth, death. And by the way, there is a picture of him. He looks just like Oser we showed earlier in the Brazilian records. But and it's got all this information. You know, so there's 100 sources on him. There's 42 memories, which are pictures and documents and so forth. There's the alternate names. Birth name is Moses David, also known as Moses. Well, birth name Moses David is kind of reversed. He also known as Moses David Rosenbaum because he was right in that time frame when names were being adopted and so forth. But so that's there. It's all there. You can record it, you can share, and so forth. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to the catalog. Again, not going to be in here a great deal because we want to get to the other main ones. But the catalog is very, very basic. You can just go in here. This is a basic place search. You can search by place. You can search by surname, titles, author, anything you want, keyword, whatever. I'm just doing by place, and I'm doing Ohio. We have 2,800 records for Ohio. Now, when you see a subject page like that, where it's got all those subject almanacs and so forth, we don't just put an empty field there. For there to be one of those listed means we have something in that heading. We have something under archives and libraries. We have something under whatever it may be. So everyone's going to be different. Here's Ohio, you could do North Carolina. They're going to be different because of what we have in the collection. But if you go there and then you go down to Jewish, instead of Ohio, I'm just doing Jewish records. I want to know all the Jewish records in the catalog, 7,600. So, and as you go to whichever one you want to go, let's just, as long as we were there, let's go back to Ohio. There is Hamilton, Cincinnati Jewish records. You can see there's quite a few locations. But if we do that, it comes here. Hamilton, Ohio always has a lot because of the Malcolm Stern influence. But there's marriage ceremonial books with marriage records. And when you click on that, it takes you to this. This tells you, you look at that first, you say there's not a whole lot of information there. Gives you the title of the book, gives you its location, the Granite Mountain Record Vault, which is our big vault up in the Granite Mountains above Salt Lake City. We have big protected vaults up there. But it gives you the film number, and it gives you the image number, and then there's a blue thing there, a camera. And so if I click on it, and again, I can, whatever page I need by date, I can read that book from the luxury of my own home. 184 pages of that document right there. And so if that's where your family is, you can, I should have taken a picture of a bigger page so you can see, but they're very easy to read. It's worth looking at. So the catalog has got those. Sometimes you'll get one that says it's not available for you to look at. That just means you have to be at a family search center. One of your ones there in Raleigh would work, or wherever, Chapel Hill, wherever it is. And you can go there and look at them as well. Or if you take a minute at the end of this to write down my email, you'll know who to contact if you're looking for a document. That's all I'm saying. But so there's that. Okay, so let's go to the next session. Books. All those 600,000 books. This is the Family Search Digital Library. Now, what is this? Is this just Family Search? No, it's not. It started out as us. And in fact, that title page says 500,000 genealogy books. It's now somewhere close to 700,000 books on here. Well, if it's not just us, if you go down there where the arrow is to digital library contributors, this is some of the ones that are now part of this. The Allen County Public Library. They are scanning books and putting them into this collection. Arizona State, Birmingham Public Library, Dallas is in here, BYU's collection. But you can see there's just all kinds of ones going in. And now we even have a couple of individuals who are adding their collections. Miriam Weiner's collection is now going in. One of the greatest collections of Eastern Europe. There's USC. St. Louis County Library, a couple more. But Miriam Weiner's collection is going in. I'll pick on her for a minute because she's got some incredible stuff for people that's now in Family Search. So her Roots to Roots collection, if I click on that, it starts taking me to the individual books. And that very top book, it's obviously not in English, but if you go to that very top book and you click on it, you'll notice here that there's the book on the left. On the right is the information. It says access level public. That means you can go on here and you can read this online without problem. It's full copyright approval. Tells you the language. It's in Ukrainian. It's 2 volumes, 500 pages. But you can go on here, and if you see that arrow off to the right there, just to the right of the book, that black and white arrow. If you start clicking on that, and I'll do one in just a minute, but if you start clicking on it, it just turns the page for you. And if you go to the beginning or the end, you paint on the book, there's usually an index, and you can look up your name or whatever. And say, oh, it's on this page. I'll go back to that page. And at the very top, these are actually telephone books from Ukraine. At the very top, it says you're right now on page 1 of 516. So they're incredible that you can do that. And if I go here and just type in the word Jewish and do the same thing, 56,000 books, or you're going to get books, you're going to get newsletters, you're going to get articles, all kinds of stuff. But as you can see here, so let's go to that third one on the right. I know it's kind of hard to see it yet, but a Jewish trail. This is what happens when you open it up. It's 189 pages. You'll notice up there, it says full permission granted. So we have full permission to put this book out online. It's 326 pages. And over there on the subject on the right, you'll notice it lists the families that are involved in this record. Okay, so you can go to those. It's actually, Rabbi Stern has actually done the beginning of this book and talked about family names and so forth. But there's those. And so if you just go to this happens to be off page 31, the kind of information you get off here. Let's just go to the second paragraph. Nathaniel went to Brooklyn, New York to join his in-laws, Alta Risha's parents and her brother, Shlomo Biber, who were already living there. Nathaniel worked as a presser in a sweatshop, and after saving some money, he urged his wife to join him. She refused, saying that the U.S. was someone's going to have to pronounce it for me.
Rafina Medina.
Thank you. And it would ruin the children. So with his small savings, he returned home and bought a house and a piece of land. That little one paragraph gives you so much family information. And if that is your family, that's a gold mine. So reading these books from home is just amazing. And there's another side benefit, and I'm not going to say which ones because I'll just get in trouble. But some of these, if it's 2 a.m. and you can't sleep, some of these, if you read, you will be to sleep pretty quick. That's all I'm saying. But it's amazing stuff. And what I like about these, if you have, let's say you have a family member, you're researching your family history, and you have a family member who lives wherever, Texas. Instead of making photocopies of this book and saying, hey, you got to see this, what do you think? Get them online with you, and both of you read it together. There it is. You can work together on that same book and so forth. Now, what I don't show here, but I remembered I need to tell you. So both of these I've showed you say full permission. What if it's under copyright and we don't have full permission? We still put that title page up. This one, yeah. This title page up, and it'll say no access. The reason we put it up there is because on those, it tells you who the author is, tells you who owns it, and so forth, to where if you wanted to check your local university library or somewhere, you can start Googling it and see if there's someone who has it that you can go get a hold of. So we do put that up there. Okay. So let's get going into the wiki, and then we'll do full text search. So this is when you go to the wiki, this is the first page. It's family. It's on the thing. It just says research wiki. So this is the research wiki, 150,000 articles in here. Who have put the articles in? Family search employees, sure. But also the vast majority of them are from non-family search people. They're just experts around the world in various topics. So to go here, all you have to do is click on the map if you want for a certain area, or let's just type in Hungary since we talked about it earlier. So this is the very first page. We're going to talk about this quite a bit. Over the far right, where you see the flag, and then under you see the topics. The topic is there. That means there's at least one article in that topic and you can see there is Jewish records, so you can go click on that. On the left, this is the front of the Hungary genealogy page. It's got the 3 boxes. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The Hungary online genealogical records, the online research help, and the getting started. Then it has the map. The map is interactive. You can click on that map. So right now you're looking at everything on a country basis. You can click on that map and it will take you to just that county or that province, whatever, depending on where you're at in the world, that state. And it will just give you the records for that area. So you can keep zooming down, okay? But this is just the very top. So many pages here, it's impossible to do it. So if we go here to Vass, we had that marked there. That's the county highlighted there. If I click on that, it takes me here and it gives me just for that area. There's some of the major databases listed, a little history. You can see over on the right, you can click on any of those. But what I wanted to show you here is the blue box that says Hungary Online Genealogical Records. I'm not going to show you the Ask Community, but you can go on there and it's the only people you'll see on there are Hungarian genealogy experts. And you can ask those questions. You know, I have a document, even post it and say, can someone help me with this? You can do all that there. Okay. But under the online genealogical records, if you click on that, it takes you to this document. These are all active links. These are all, you notice it's not just family search. The first one's My Heritage. Then there's family search, ancestry, find my past. I know I'm skipping over some, but there's all kinds of them on here. Some places you'll get into various synagogues and so forth who we found the records and put on the Jewish gens there, so forth. What you'll notice is like the very top one says Austria-Hungary Roman Catholic indexes at My Heritage. Index only, that's got a $sign. What the $sign means is that you may have to pay to access it. You may have to have a membership to My Heritage. Not always, but it does. Family search, they're all free. So there they are. But, and again, if you go to your local family search library, you should be able to access them for free. Okay. So if we go over there to the one that I've highlighted, the Hungary Jewish Vital Records Index, this is a family search collection. So it comes up like this. It's got its own little search box for it. And this index is also found on Jewish Gen because we try to partner with everyone. And we've worked with Jewish Gen. We love Jewish Gen because of the fact if we can get the images and provide it to Jewish Gen has the boots on the ground, if you will. And they have the people who can index that best. They have their connections all through Hungary or wherever. And so we try to share with them as best we can. So if you go there, you can type in your name, it'll bring up the records. Okay. Now, let me show you what this can get into. Here is Family Search Research Wiki. This is the Merriam-Webster Roots to Roots Foundation. I'm going to type that in. If you've never used her foundation, it's amazing. 30 years of living there and here and back and forth, and all of her work over there is just amazing. But if you put that in, and it brings you to this page, which I admit to the world does not look very attractive, but believe me, it serves the point. So here's her various things. And then down at the bottom, it's got the various countries that are affected. And the one that says Poland. Let's just go there. So this is all one page. I've had to cut it in pieces to get it on the screen for you. There's Miriam White there in her office, 30 some odd years ago. pictures of her, a little bit of a history of her, find the town, maps of your ancestors' town, some beautiful maps. This then has taken her website, which you can link to. You can go back to it, her website, and shows you everything that's on there. So if you keep scrolling down this page, here's page 2, gives you some examples, her surname database. On the left, it gives you some examples of what's on her website, and how to access them and so forth. It gives you examples of the various types of Polish Jewish documents. So you can click on it and you can learn what it's about. She's incredible with what she has and how she puts it out there so that everyone can get advantage of it. And if you keep going down, here you get into her indexes for by location, search results all over the place, pictures and so forth. It's an incredible collection of records. But if you go on the wiki and type it in, you can actually see it on there. And each of these gives you a little description of how do I get to it? What will it show me? All of that. It's incredible. And so you can go there and get all that records. Okay. So the wiki is a wonderful thing to get used to using. Now I'm just going to touch on one really quick because, hey, it's got my name on it and I can do that, right? So the Knowles collection. So when I started doing my own family, I started putting them in my own database like we all do on our computer. I happen to use Legacy as a genealogical product, but it doesn't matter what you use. And I'm not a rocket scientist, so that I would remember what it was, I put it under the heading Knowles. That's how it happened. So, because I could remember my name, right? So I started adding it in there. Then some other people saw it and they tied into the family. They wanted to add it and everything. So it built into this big collection. I never intended it to have my name on the collection. I thought it would be something else. But once it grew to a point, Family Search wouldn't change it because they said that's where everyone knows it is. So why you didn't change it? But the Knowles collection is the 6 databases: Jews of the British Isles, Jews of Europe, Jews of North America, Caribbean, South America, South Pacific, and then Africa, the Orient, and the Middle East. And it takes these records from all over the world. And right now it's over 1.5 million people, 2,500 different sources, 200 different countries, linked as family, name searchable, and it's free. So all of these, and let me tell you, the last couple of years, a lot of the new records are coming from places like Turkey, cemetery records from Turkey and stuff like that. Is coming from private individuals who want to add their trees. And what's nice is if you go on it, all the sources are listed so you can rebuild whatever's on there. But when someone donates their tree, the first source we put, if they're agreeable, and I've only ever had one person who didn't want it, is we put their email address. So if it's your family, you can see the email, the person who donated, you can contact them and you guys can have this great conversation about your family. So it's all there. Now, how do I access it? Well, there is a blog, knowlescollection.blogspot.com. And you'll see that on my email page at the end. You'll also see this address. And if you go to the right-hand corner there where it says access the Knowles collection, there's always going to be a link. Click on that and it'll walk you through how to access it. Okay. And there's an advertisement for the International Jewish Conference we had 2 years ago or a year ago in Philadelphia. Hope to see you all the one next year. That's my little plug for that. But when you go on there, down here on the bottom left under genealogies, it'll walk you through this. You can search for a specific tree. And if you just start typing in Knowles, you'll see the first 2 that come up is the one from the British Isles, the one from Africa, the Orient, and the Middle East. Click on the British Isles, and it's got that same family search toolbar. So I'm going to put in a name, and I'm putting in the name Gluckstein, which is a very prominent Jewish family. For any of you who were in England pre-2000, you may have remembered the Lyons tea houses. This is the family that owned them. 2 of the 3 were family members here. But if I go to Gluckstein and type it in, it takes this out of the collection. So the one that's highlighted, Isidore Gluckstein, tells you where it comes from. It comes from the Jewish Families Knowles collection of the British Isles. Gives you his vital information. There's his birth, marriage, and death. His parents are listed and his wife is listed. However, if you click on him, it takes you to this. This is his, and I call it a living tree because it's got those arrows on it on the far left, far right. If you click on those, it moves you whichever direction. Okay. So there's Isidore Gluckstein and Rose Cohen, his wife, and there's their children. And then they both have their parents, grandparents, and so forth. On the far right, you'll see it's got some of the vital information: name, sex, birth, death, burial, the basic information. If I was to scroll down further, you'd see the top 10 sources under birth, marriage, and death, but it will also give you all those sources so you can rebuild it yourself. So it's a living document. People were constantly updating. 2 days ago, I had got an email from a lady who says, you have my grandfather and his two brothers in the collection. You've missed the sister and the other brother. And here's their information. So we got it added. So it's constantly changing. So I hope it will help some as well. And again, it's free on Family Search. So are we ready for full text search? Deep breath. So here's full text search. You notice these all kind of look, the front pages look a lot alike because it is, it's Family Search is how they do it. On here, you have a basic search box on your right. You have on your left at the bottom, you have find a collection where you can just do it by collection. And then there's always some advanced search tips, different things to do. Let me tell you how fast this is growing. This was unveiled at Roots Tech 2024, so a year and a half ago. There was 5 collections in full text search when they unveiled it, okay? Which for the people whose family were in those was staggering. However, as of yesterday, there are 7,700 collections. So it's constantly being added to. And as you can see, it's being added to from everywhere. So these are in full text search. Now, what is full text search? Let's talk about it for a minute. Full text search, if you were to look for a marriage document, for example, or a probate or something like that, a land record, it could be almost anything. If you look for a marriage record, if you're really lucky, that marriage document is going to be indexed by the bride and groom, correct? You're going to see the bride's name, you're going to see the groom's name. Sometimes if you're really lucky, you may get one of their parents' names or so forth. But usually it's very basic of what it's indexed by. Full text search indexes the entire document. It's just mind-boggling. I'm going to show you one that's not a great, easy to see, but it's one, it just shows how staggering this can be. So I'm going to go here, and you can watch a video that watch it time and time again, teach you how to do this a little better. But you remember earlier I showed you my ancestor, Oser in Brazil. I'm going to type in Oser from San Francisco. So I'm not putting pluses in there. I'm not putting comments. I'm not putting anything. It's just a keyword search, Oser, San Francisco. And just for a little refresher, this is him. Okay, Harry Jonas Oser. But if I put Oser, San Francisco into full text search, look at this. It does do it off of, it'll catch all the San Francisco stuff and everything else. There is a will that lists him right there. I'm going to click on that. The matter of the estate of Morris Oser, also known as M. Oser. If you look at this, down there at the bottom, it gives a list of all of his family members. Most wills that you find will not be indexed by all the people mentioned in the document. There's Rose, the widow of the deceased, and where she's living. Harry, a son, living at the Hotel Monroe. William, a son in Chico. They owned Oster department stores in Chico, is why they're very prominent there. A daughter. Then, this is I love, Mrs. Henrietta Levy, a sister who's living in San Francisco. Mrs. Ernestine Citron, a sister living in San Francisco. Incredible documents. Over on the right-hand side here, so I'll show you this in a second. I cut it off here, but you can ask for a transcript of the document. This on the right is the transcript of the document as AI has transcribed it. So this is where Family Search starts using AI to help. This transcript comes from AI reading this document. It's amazing. So being able to search it by all family members, by location, and so forth, it gives you just an added boost. So let's go here. This is from Forden. This is where my family came from. I'm going to keyword search. I'm not putting any names in. I'm just putting Forden. So Forden in, let's say, 1860, very small community, maybe 600 people at the most at any one time, okay, in the Jewish community there. Since I learned about my ancestor when I was 12, I have spent the last many years trying to document the whole community. I wanted to know where each and every one of those people went, because it was a community that was 100% destroyed in the Holocaust. And I wanted to know where they all went. Well, it's not an easy search. But if I just do full text search, I think I've only been able to find, up until full text search, I've only been able to find about 9 people, non-family members. And most of those were completely by accident, if I was honest with you, as in some other document and they came up. But I'm going to go here. And here's one that comes up. There's a lot, but this is one. This is, to me, is the gold mine of why you do full text search. So you see the name's not it, but this is from the Arbachs family. And I know that's hard to see. That's the will in Salt Lake City of Frederick Arbach. Arbach department stores was a very prominent thing here in Salt Lake till about 30, 40 years ago. But if I can, let's see if I can do it this way. In this probate of him, it pulls it up. It's got the Forden. All I put in, remember, was Forden. And if you go down there to the various, well, if we start up, he's giving money to the various hospitals. The sum of $500 to the Deseret Hospital of Salt Lake, sum of $500 to the Ladies Hebrew Benevolent Society, $500 to the Gentlemen's Hebrew Benevolent Society, and so forth. And you go down here, he's giving it to Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, the Oddfellows Library of Salt Lake City, 250 to the Young Ladies Aid, and so forth. You get 11th, to the Hebrew poor of my native town of Forden, Prussia, $150. And being a fair man, to the Christian poor of my native town of Forden, Poland, I give $75. But this is where it gets mind-boggling to me. Item 13, to my uncle, Moses Friedman of, and it gives you where he's living. The sum of $500, which in the case of his death, to go to his 2 daughters. 14th, to my uncle of Colmsey, Prussia, and in case of death, to go to his daughter. To my cousin Marion Adler of Newburgh, New York. To my cousin Fanny Tobias of Newburgh, New York. And it just goes, he does all of his relatives. And because if I'd done a search by Arbachs, yes, I may have found his will, but I wouldn't have found all this highlighted as Forden down below. These are all people from Forden, and this is them later in life and where they're living. You notice they've all scattered from Forden. And full text search will bring that to you. So, and if I do Forden, you can do all kinds of searches. So now I'm going to do Forden plus Salt Lake City as a different search. I'm not doing any search engine. It's called keyword. I'm going after Forden. Here is that will at the top. Here is the will of Rosa Meyer, another woman born in Forden. And by the way, I've been able to take these now and go back to the Forden synagogue records and find their birth records and so forth in Forden. You have Weber County, Utah. You have Tooele County, Utah. It goes on and on. And I have found people from Forden now in Indiana. Why would I overlook in Indiana for someone from Forden? I've found some in Mississippi, some in Texas. I mean, it's just starting to come out, and it's all from full text search. This is maybe another, this is a little better. Well, it's not. This is the original will of Frederick, where it's got his siblings and all that there that I showed you a minute ago. I wanted to show you this because over there on the right, you'll see it says full transcript. You can click on it. It gives you a total transcript. Summarize the document. It'll bring it out in summary form. But here is those same things over on the right. This is the original document as it was filmed. Okay. But now, Forden, depending on what day you're talking about, it went back and forth from Poland to Germany, Prussia, depending on what. So let's do Forden, Germany. This is that same will. No, I'm sorry. This is a different will, but you notice, and I apologize for the, this is a brother's will, I believe. I apologize that it's so blurry, but if you want to pull it up on your own, it's easier to see on your own computer. There's all those people with where they're living. It's just mind-boggling to me. And if I do Forden and Germany and wills, I can pull up the various wills. There's Bergen, New Jersey, Ontario, New York. I mean, they're from all over the place, and there's that same will in the middle there. But it's just mind-boggling, and there it is, and so forth. This is actually from Tina Alexander, another person from Forden, and she goes into that. I give and bequeath to Forden Synagogue in Forden, Prussia, the sum of $25. To William Wolf, a shoemaker in Forden, $25. And obviously, this was before the community was totally destroyed. The synagogue still stands; it's a shell of what it was. And the Jewish people there do not want it back because the last act of defiance from the Nazis was to turn it into a dinner theater for the SS guards. It's not, yeah, they don't want it. But you can see all these people are sharing all their family members. And because of full text search, this is so accessible. And just to show you that final, so here's a couple of the other Fordens. Here's immigration record for his wife, my mother, Bertha Levy. This is from Gustav Levy. His mother is listed. Someone where I was born at Forden, October of 1869. Got on board this ship at this location, so forth. So very straightforward. It gives you a lot of great information. Here is a birth record. Isaac Levy was born in Forden, 1824. He's got his naturalization in 1860. I would never look in that record for someone from Forden being, their naturalization. Here's one from Indiana. Same thing. I probably would never look in the circuit court at Cass County, Indiana, for a record of someone from Forden. But there it is. And here's back to another one. So it's absolutely amazing what you can find there. And even just searching without the names, put in your locations. People are breaking down brick walls almost daily in there. It's just absolutely amazing. As promised, there is my email. There is the blog article that takes you to where you need to go. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's been guided you towards some of the different items. And I am totally serious that if I get an email from you, I would love that. So if you have any questions or any problems, or today, tomorrow, a year from now, whenever it is, the email hasn't changed in 27 years. So please feel free to use it. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
One thing about reading whole documents, and I found a will for the first Jewish person who was buried in Raleigh. And he was an itinerant musician. And I read the inventory of what he owned at the time of his death, most of which was 100% valueless, except for his collection of music, which was worth $100 in 1867, which was a pretty substantial amount of money. But when you read those, it's one thing to find an index card, which is exciting enough, but when you're actually looking at facts of their lives, it brings you so much more information. Debbie, I'm going to let you identify people who have questions.
Yeah, we had a couple questions in chat, Todd, and I see we have an outstanding question from Beth, but I wanted to share with you what a gift you just gave me. At the beginning of our program, well, actually right before the beginning, I was thinking, I'm pretty advanced on some of the stuff, kind of gone through the ends of my family tree. And now I've got several months of work ahead of me, thanks to you. But I have to show you this record I just found using full text search. This is a picture I've never seen of my mother and probably the earliest picture I have of her. Can you see that picture?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
From 1946. It's 6 months after she arrived in the United States. I want to cry because I don't have any pictures of my mother because the Holocaust wiped out any family artifacts. This may be the earliest one. I've never seen this record before. I had no idea it existed. I have something like this on my dad, nothing like this on my mother. So
wow.
I saw thing I was working alongside your talk and also not just using full text search. I obviously have to spend a lot of time there. I had no idea about the image collection. And I saw there are records there from my grandfather's town in Poland that I had no idea existed. This has been an incredible treasure trove for me, and I am sure for many, many others here. We do have some, so thank you for that, Todd.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I'm going to save some of my personal questions for a little later. In chat, we do have a couple of beginners with us, and you use the term indexed, and I tried to give a quick definition of what the term a record has been indexed could mean, but I think it might be best to turn that question over to you, and then I'll share some of the other chat questions.
So when I say a record has been indexed, for example, any of those records we just showed, where it's handwritten, index means that someone's gone in there and actually made it, translate the language and so forth. And so it's an indexed document where it's a document that's now, what's the word, transcribed and then linked to. So if a document is in another language, for example, and someone transcribes it into English, and then someone comes along and takes usually it's the names and dates and places, and transcribes them and puts them in the document, that is what is indexed, so that when it's searchable and you go to one of those search tools and put in a name and a date and place, it's indexed and it's now acquirable through those. And that's a far more complicated explanation than it needed to be.
No, I think that's a good explanation. I've actually indexed for Jewish Gen, and that's exactly what I do. I can't read Polish or Hungarian, but I can read the names. So I will look at a document, I'll pull out the names that I see, I know what kind of record it is, and I know the record number. And that goes into like an Excel spreadsheet, into a database, so that anybody looking for that name will now know it's record number 147 in the metrical records of Újpest, Poland, or Újpest, Hungary. I also use the term index, Todd, when I know in some of the Polish Jewish records, when you're going through the year, let's say 1896, in some cases in these towns, you look at the birth records. I can't read Polish, so I'd have to go through every one. But at the end of the birth records, and at the end of the death records, and at the end of the marriage records, there is like a table of contents / index. And if you can find that index, then you can go backward and go, oh, there's, Felicia, Felicia Dobrzinski. She was in record number 147. And that way you're not going through all of the records. That's another way that I use the word index.
Absolutely.
Okay. From Talia, one of our members, she said, I have had difficulty navigating these resources because I've not been able to search untranslated handwritten records or scan images manually for the handwritten names I'm looking for. I can get to the specific folder, but I'm unable to find the specific family record among thousands of images. Is there a workaround or strategy for success that others have had? And I guess part of the answer there would be the full text search, yes?
As they are loaded into full text search, it should help with that problem. And what you can do is when I started doing the synagogue records from Forden, I can't read German or Polish. But what I was able to do, you can go to the wiki and go to, for example, Poland and go to language. And you will find, charts of the alphabet and so from different time frames. And it will teach you how to read through those. As you start getting into a certain area, whether it be Forden or wherever, you'll notice if you just start reading through the document, even if you don't know what it means, you will start recognizing the names and the dates and the places. And you can actually go through some of them very quickly once you get that knowledge. And if you're looking at the marriage records for an area, they're usually pretty much a form document.
That's right.
And it is easy to start pulling out names and dates and places. And once you find a record that has their name on it, you can even go to like Google Translate and put the document into Google Translate, and it'll translate it into English for you. There are workarounds around everything. Obviously, when full text search comes for everything, it will be a major workflow. But yeah, you can get around it some of those ways. Also, if you go to getting helps, we showed Hungary getting help online. You go there and download the document and say, please, someone help me.
Good point. And you can take your phone now, using the Google app Translate, Google Translate app, and just take a picture of it, and it'll translate for you too.
Absolutely.
Have another question in chat. What about countries that no longer exist or areas that switched borders repeatedly? What's the best way to find information?
The ones that no longer exist, hopefully we still have the documents for. We went in years and years ago. A prime example is the Great Synagogue of London. Was completely destroyed in the bombing of London, as were the records. However, about a year and a half before it was destroyed, Family Search was allowed to go in and microfilm all the records. So in the microfilm collection of Family Search, you have the Great Synagogue records of London, even though they don't exist anymore. So we have that availability. Let me explain how it works with Family Search when we get microfilm records. If we go into an archive or a library, we do not pay to go in and get those records. What we do in lieu of payment is if we go in and totally film an archive, when we're done, as we're leaving, we give them a complete copy of all their records on microfilm, or nowadays digital. So most of these archives, libraries, whatever they may be, societies, whatever, they can't afford to have someone come in and microfilm or digitize everything. So we're able to go in and do it, and we leave them with a copy when we leave. We have records dating back from various archives of countries that don't exist. And they're still in the collection under that. The best way to search for them in the catalog is, okay, Forden's a great example. It's been Germany, it's been Poland, it's been Prussia, depending on the time of day and whichever way the wind was blowing, it changed. If you know a date and you can identify, okay, on that date, it was known as Forden, Poland, for example. That's the best way to search in the catalog under Forden, Poland. You want to search under the location of where the record was created. and that will give you the best opportunity to find those records. If you don't, then just search under Forden, no country, and it'll bring up the various options for you. But it does get a little hard sometimes with changing borders and with records destroyed and all that.
Hal Bookbinder does a great talk on that, and he starts out with the story that his grandmother never moved in her entire life, but she lived in 3 different countries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know one gentleman who's got a birth, marriage, and death record for his grandfather. He brought him in the library and he says, I can't figure this out. All had the same street address, but 3 different countries. And it's because of that.
Carol, if you stay after our session, I'll show you how on JewishGen you can use the town finder to find out more information about the town that you were referred to.
Oh,
Beth, I know you have a question too. You want to unmute?
Yes, I did. I actually have 2 questions. They're very beginner questions, but I'm hoping you can help. One is that I have like trees set up and started both at Family Search, MyHeritage, and Ancestry. And I know that MyHeritage is linked to Museum of Israel that's trying to collect a family tree of all Jews. And I'm just wondering, like, does all this information combined in some way? Like now I'm like, I usually get the hints from my heritage, but now I'm seeing like huge amount of information that's here at Family Search. So I want to spend time here, but then like, how do you recommend like navigating all these different search trees places?
Okay, if I understand this correct, so Family Search we like to call ourselves the Switzerland of the genealogy community. We're not in competition. We like to partner, if you will. And I know that's not the word they use, but we consider MyHeritage, Ancestry, and all our friends. So we try to share and help however we can. So in some cases, you will find the same record on Ancestry, MyHeritage, and Family Search. In some cases, you won't. It'll just be in ours or theirs or whatever. You kind of have, I use all 3. And I search them all the time. So is there one general? Not really. I have trees on all 3 because I like to get all the various records. Will there someday? Who knows? And hopefully, more and more things come out. Maybe we can do more things. I don't know. But you kind of have to just keep an eye on all 3 separately.
Okay,
and see what happens.
And kind of like spend time updating on all of them. My next question is should I like start with me and then look up every single record I can find on me and slowly go back to generations, or I get hints from all these different people in all these generations? And so lately I've just been like adding hints and looking as each hint pops up, but it kind of like can be a bit overwhelming. Like I'm not kind of sure how to tackle this.
Okay, let me tell you how I do it. I add what I can find about my people that I can verify. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the original marriage record or whatever. Something I have a source for. It looks like it's a good record, then I'll add it after I look at the source and look at the record. If I agree, yes, this is my person, I will add it. To just get a hint and just add it, I don't recommend. I recommend if you're going to get a hint, go examine the hint first.
Oh, yeah.
Look at it.
I want to look at the source because unless I can confirm it's definitely a sibling, I don't want to add it. But I'm just like trying to think if I should like be really systematic and focus on one person at a time.
You should do whatever works best for you.
Okay.
I personally like the one at a time. I know a lady, she's a sweet lady. She has trees on all 3. And if she gets a hint, she thinks it's gold and instantly adds everything about that to the tree. And all that's going to do is make a big confusion.
Yeah.
But you've got to it's your tree. That's why I keep a separate database on Legacy. I keep all my records there from all of them. And it's one place where they're at.
What is legacy?
Legacy is like there's various ones, just genealogy databases. Most of them are dirt cheap or free, where you can document your own family. You can go in there. It's just a genealogy database manager, if you will.
Okay. Thank you so much and your patience with, I know these are very beginner questions, so thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thank you.
Todd, how much time do you have? Do you have the rest of the day? Because we have a lot of questions.
Hey, I think I have a big meeting on Tuesday, so go for it.
Okay. We have another question here. Do all of the records in the Knowles collection also come up in the family searches, or do you need to search each collection?
Right now, they do not. All right. You want the groundbreaking information? Let me see if I can pull up. All right. Since you're here, you deserve this, I guess. Talk amongst yourselves while I pull it up here. Family search has something new. I know what all of you are thinking when I say you need a tree on ancestry and one on family search. And you're all thinking, well, I don't want the family search one because people can change it and screw it up. By show of hands, I know that because it is one that you can go in and document. Something new at family search that you can't get yet, but word's getting out about it. So hopefully you'll be able to see it here soon. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Okay. So if I can share my screen again. Okay. Well, that didn't work. Hold on one second. See if this works. It's so new, it's not part of a PowerPoint. That's why I'm having to do this way. Okay, so this should work. Family Search has coming out. Please, by the way, don't publish this everywhere.
There we go. Now we're about to see your screen.
Okay. Let me know. Can you see something that says upload your?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't do that yet. I have a little higher clearance, but so I'm seeing it. But these are called CE trees. Controlled edit trees. You can see here's 5 of the 6 Knowles collection databases. The US one's not added yet because it's so big that we're still working on getting the sizes. The US one has like 650,000 names. Let's just do, I don't know, British Isles. So a control edit tree means I can edit it and I can control who else edits it. So you'll notice on this one, this is the Jews of the British Isles. And you notice right now it says manage members. There's only one person who can edit that, and that's me. However, I can add up to 10 people who can edit that. And if I do that, this has like 220,000 names in it. Here's Isidore Gluckstein. I mentioned the Glucksteins earlier. Here's Isidore, and it looks just like Family Search. And it goes all, here he is with his wife, there's his parents, there's his siblings and so forth. Once this is totally added, you can upload your GEDCOM from your own database and add it and have your own control edit tree that no one can go in and change.
You better explain GEDCOM.
Okay. On any genealogical website or database you have, there's a million of them out there. There's Roots Magic, there's Family Tree Maker, all these. GEDCOM is like the universal genealogy language. And on those, if you go there and you say, I want to download this entire collection to a GEDCOM, it takes seconds. and it puts it into a GEDCOM, and then you can go somewhere and you can add that GEDCOM. So I can move GEDCOM, I can move databases from one site to another just by moving the GEDCOM. Okay. And you go to somewhere else. So you go to family search, control edit trees, and you load a GEDCOM, and it will put it, everything you have, it'll put into that tree. Well, once you do that, and once these are up and running, which is hopefully, Roots Tech is like 3.5 months away. I'm assuming this will all be up and running by Roots Tech. But once you do that, you will start getting the links and the hints on your control edit tree that come from outside, from, family search or regular tree that you can look at and add. But right now we're still working on it. So in this case, there's not much loaded in on this guy, I don't think, but I can go here and do view as tree. And there it is. So, just take it on back. Do have some pictures loaded in. This is, but so you can, and it works side by side. Here's siblings and so forth, and here's his wife's family, father, and so forth. But it's all right there. So you'll start being able to do that on your own tree, and no one can go in and fix this or fix it. No one can go in and change it or do anything except for me or people I've added. It's brand new. That's why you get this little error message that some of the GEDCOM was imported differently. It's something they're working to get rid of that right now.
But this is something that will be available after the beta version. You'll be able to
I'm hoping it'll be on Roots Tech. It'll be open and going great around Roots Tech time, which is the first week of March.
Yeah, Roots Tech is going to be a virtual.
No, it's both. Last 2 years have been.
That's right.
Yeah. Just to show you the sheer power of Roots Tech, that's why I suggest everyone join it. You can join the virtual for free. Last year, the final numbers ended up being over 10 million people who joined online. Think about that. Think about
it's almost power. As crowded in person.
Oh yeah, in person, I think we had close to 20,000 in person.
Todd, we have a question about whether family search is as good with variations of names as JewishGen is, particularly surnames. It uses the fuzzy matching. Mm-hmm. What about family search?
They're all pretty much the same. They're all, you can do the asterisk after 3 letters or whatever and all that. They're all pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who else would like to ask a question? We are so lucky to have Todd here. And while people are formulating a question, Todd, I have a personal one. Feel free to decline to answer it.
No,
I've got to know how you wound up with a Rosenbaum in the Knowles family. Did Mr. Rosenbaum marry, I presume married your great-grandmother who wasn't Jewish?
Yes.
Okay.
So Moses David came over from Poland in 1850. So he was early. He had 6 sisters, no brothers. I don't know if that's why he left Poland, because his sisters were annoying him, but hey, who knows? He came over in 1850. He was sent over by his parents to learn more about the world. He was just he was a Polish farm kid. It was very much a farming community. He was sent over. He ended up in Manhattan. Then he went from there. He went to Philadelphia, Charleston, Savannah, New Orleans, got on a boat and went down around and ended up in San Francisco. That 30-second trip, by the way, just was like actually about 1.5 years. But they ended up in San Francisco, set up a shop, and was selling, buying and sell whatever he could buy and sell. And he noticed that there was a lot of people coming in each and every day who became the same people. He became very good friends with them. And one day they came to him and said, hey, we just wanted to say come say goodbye. We're all leaving next week or whatever the day was. And he was very sad because he thought these were all of his friends. And he says, can I join you? And they said, sure. Well, he really didn't know who they were. And so he sold his shop within the next couple of days. And by the way, if you know the Transamerica building in San Francisco, that sits on land that his shop was on. So he was right there in the heart of San Francisco. So he sold his shop and he went with them. And it turns out that these were Mormon pioneers going from San Francisco to Salt Lake City. He got to Salt Lake City and realized he was probably the only Jew within hundreds, if not thousands of miles. And someone said, you need to go talk to Alexander Niebuhr, who was the first Jewish convert to the Mormon church. And go talk to him. He'll help you answer your questions or whatever. And on March 27th of 1857, Rosenbaum was baptized a Mormon. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't for pure love of the religion. I don't know. But the following day, he married Alexander Niebuhr's daughter. So put in there what you want.
Okay. What a great story,
Yeah.
Todd.
I got to tell you one more little part of this that I've always just been overwhelmed with. Later in life, about 30 years later, he decided to serve a mission for the Mormon church. He was sent back to the area where he was from, the Fordon area. Only he was like 2 miles away, and Fordon was in an area that was totally illegal to do any kind of missionary work. Well, he's sitting there in his house, and he changed enough over these many years, 37 years, I think, that he'd grown a beard and all this. And he said, I've got to go see my family, even though it was illegal. So he walked over to where his family lived. He had a gentleman who was with him, and they went over there and he knocked on the door, and one of his sisters opened the door, and he started saying, I am a missionary from the church of, and she didn't even get that much out, and she slammed the door in his face. Well, he was not going to be deterred, and he knocked again, and he got just a few more words out before she slammed the door in his face.
Oh, okay.
And the third time he knocked, he stuck his foot in the door so she couldn't slam it. And he said, do you know Moses David Rosenbaum? And she was taken back because when he joined the church, as you all know, from that name was not spoken in the family anymore. And looking over her shoulder was her husband. She recognized him, or he recognized him, but his own sister did not recognize him. So the brother went out the back door of the home and rounded out all the other family. I said, you got to come over here and hear this guy at our house. Well, so all his family arrives, and none of them recognized him until someone said, how do you know our brother? And he goes, because your brother is I. And they had this beautiful reunion that lasted about 45 minutes before the police showed up and arrested him and put him in jail for being a missionary. And the judge came in. He had to stay overnight. And the judge came in and said, okay, you have two choices. One, you can stay here and bond with your family all you want, but you're going to do it from a jail cell. Or you can promise to get out of town within a couple hours and we'll let it go. And I have his journal, and in his journal, it was hard for him. He really wanted to stay and see his family. But he says, well, I've got to go. So most of them he never saw again.
Wow.
He got there, by the way, about a month after his mother died. So he never got to reconnect with her or his father. But yeah. So
great story. Obviously you've done the homework. We have two more questions, both on screen. Al, you're first, and then Ava.
Sure. Just a question on some advice about people who graft your tree into theirs without sources and documentation that you know is wrong. and then people copy their tree because they have more data than you do. And this, indiscriminate grafting of bad data without verification has become a huge issue. Just recently, I came across another one. I contact these people and say, "Can you show me something?" And they say, "No, I don't have to show you something. I know this is right because you had a Rachel Levy and I had a Rachel Levy, and so they must be the same Rachel Levy." A name like that is very common.
Yeah.
There was one lady who said, yeah, your aunt was my mother's sister. She was also in Texas. I says, besides coming from Pinsk in Belarus, she never stepped out of New York except to get on the Jersey Turnpike to go to the Catskills. And she insists that her data is correct. What do you do about people like this?
Okay. Is this on a family search tree or an ancestry or?
I settled on Ancestry as my basic.
It doesn't. So I guess it really doesn't matter which street on. This is what I do. First off, I always have my family history on. I have it on Legacy, but you have Family Tree Maker, whatever it may be. Keep a copy on there because no one can touch that. Second, I also email them and say, because you can get their email if share or chat with them or whatever. I email them and say, I appreciate the fact you're working on your family history, but this is not right. This needs to be fixed. Let's work together to fix it. And usually if you use a little, let's work together to fix it, they'll usually help you. But if then they don't, I send an email to the help desk, whether it be Family Search, Ancestry, whatever, and they'll contact them. All the meanwhile, I'm going in and I'm changing what was added and getting rid of it. But
thank you, Todd, for that response to Al's question.
Tree that has my data in it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't change their tree. That's the problem. Okay.
That is the problem. That's why I would. Yeah.
Very polite and things. I have not contacted the help desk, but thank you for that bit of information.
And also make your tree private until you fix it. And
the problem is making it private. I don't find a lot of family.
Okay.
I find people who help to contribute and we make a match. Okay. I don't believe in privatizing my tree because my tree would be a quarter of the size that it is.
Okay. And I totally understood.
And that's for our new members, that's the ultimate dilemma for genealogists. You want to get your information out there to get information for yourself, but you're going to find that people do, as Al said, glom onto bad information and just keep exaggerating some of the problems.
I have the same dilemma with a sister-in-law. There are some days I would just like to be unkind. Let's just say it that way.
All right, Ava, your turn.
Now, you had mentioned that your great grandfather went and talked to the first Jewish convert to Mormonism, but then he married his daughter.
Well, so he went and talked to the first convert, and then as a result of those discussions or whatever, he himself was baptized into the Mormon church. And then he married the daughter of Niebuhr.
Right. So in other words, you have more than one Jewish line in your family.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, on my grandmother's side, so then my grandmother, who was Rosenbaum's granddaughter, we're still looking for all of it, but she has Dutch ancestry and a lot of Jewish in her tree that we're still trying to get out. But yeah, so there's a few, absolutely.
Well, Todd, we don't want to keep you forever. I think we all could, but you were very generous in giving us your email address so we can contact you individually. I also want to remind our members that we are having a one-on-one coaching session for anybody interested at the Family History Center in Apex in May, May 17th. That isn't to say you have to wait until May, because a lot of volunteers are there working during special days of the week and special hours, so you can look into that. Also, Todd, just to close here, one of our members, Talia, was very observant. She said she believes she sees a flag of Israel and a menorah collection in the background.
There's like 7 up there, 7 menorahs.
And she wants to thank you for your support and connection to your Jewish history. We all have benefited and benefit from your commitment to your Jewish ancestors.
Can you see that picture right there?
I can barely see it, but yes.
That picture was taken in 1918. That's my Jewish grandmother. So, yeah.
Well, you've obviously customized a lot of your program just for us and for your Jewish audiences. There's a note in chat also that the Apex Family Search Center is open Tuesdays 10 to 1, Wednesdays 2 to 5, and Thursdays 10 to 1. Should we all give Todd a round of applause, either virtually or really? Wasn't that fantastic? I feel so energized. I've got so much work to do. So much work to do. I'm so grateful for that picture of my mom. Todd, thank you so very, very much.
You are most welcome. Thank you.
And if you'd like to stay, certainly please do. We're going to stick around and kibitz a little bit. And I'll be back in touch with you, Todd, a little bit later. Yeah,
wonderful.
I see a lot of applause here. Thank you all so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you for everything that you've done to put that collection together. It's phenomenal. And obviously growing all the time.
Yep. Thank you very much.
For those of you who also have to leave from our group, I just want to remind you to please register for our December 7th meeting to see the film Everything is Illuminated. I think you'll find that nothing was illuminated in the film, and that's what makes it such an enjoyable experience. All right, who's got some kibitzing to do? Who'd like to share what's up?
Well, I hope everybody has a very happy Thanksgiving. It's one of those holidays we can celebrate regardless of religion. And it's short and sweet. And I've got all my children coming, so I'm very excited about it.
And what a great genealogy opportunity when you've got your kids and they can't escape. They can run away.
Come again.
They can run, but they can't hide.
One of them started the whole deal by asking me for a family tree at his bar mitzvah. He said, who are these people you were inviting? Why are all these people coming? I want to see a family tree. So,
well, that's wonderful, though. That's a good start.
Right.
And Jim, I hope you were a guest today, and Carol, I hope you'll consider joining us. Again, it's free for 2026. After that, we know where you live and we'll come and get you. But, for the first year, and we have wonderful programs. If you haven't looked at our calendar for 2026, it's already shaping up very nicely, if I do say so myself. Let me see if I can get you to, let me see if I can share my screen with you. I think I can. I can show you where our website is, and then you can go and take a look at some of our meetings coming up. And I want to thank Mike. I thank him in the newsletter, but he's just done such a good job of working to try to get our very difficult to manage website up and running. But on our main page, trianglejgs.org, we have all the upcoming events all the way. Actually, I think we're scheduled out through June now, even though you might not be able to see June. And on March 22nd, another kind of fun event where you found something and you want to share, Kvel and tell. We do that every year also. So Carol and Jim, your first timers, anything you want to say or share?
No, thank you so much. I'm in Oakland, California, so unlikely to become a frequent visitor, but this was a great session, And I Naomi told me about it, and we've worked on some things together. The thing that I would just say from my recent visit to your area, and Naomi and I looking through records together, is there was a scribbled note that didn't seem to mean anything, but in fact, it was the surname that my great grandmother, excuse me, my great aunt used uh, when her family eventually immigrated to Israel after World War II. And it was not the name that was on their marriage certificate. And I think this maybe have to do with a previous program that I saw you had.
Mhm.
So looking up that name, a couple of cousins who were working on this with us found a lot more of our family and what had become of them just because of this little scribbled note.
It's
So what I say is it's worth following up on these little bits and bobs of things
yeah.
that people wrote down. And I am going to be going back to Israel next month and going to Haifa and meeting with a cousin that we didn't know existed. And
Amazing.
he was very happy to hear from us. He would have been my grandfather's nephew. Um, and my grandfather was Naomi's father-in-law. Um, and I, I, at times, through sending him some of the family information, I was hesitant because, it involved telling what had happened to his father and his grandfather, and other various things about the concentration camp that they were in. But nobody has, I think, ever been so happy to get these records because he said it was the first time that he had anything documenting his connection to family.
Wonderful. Make sure when you're in Haifa that you look up a very small but very wonderful museum called the Museum of Clandestine Immigration.
Oh, wow. Um,
Um,
we may have some records in that too.
yeah, they have records, and also there's some wonderful little museums around Israel that aren't known, well known, and they have lots of records too. So just ask around. I think you'll find it a
Great.
meaningful trip on a lot of different levels.
Yes, yes, that is, there's a disputed date whether a couple of the people in the family came in 1947 or that they then claimed they came in 1950. And I believe they claimed in the documents that they came in 1950 because coming in 1947 would have been illegal
Um, that
for
museum might
them.
answer the question. Also,
Yeah, that's
Yad
fabulous
Vashem,
to
if you're
know.
willing to travel to Jerusalem, has an incredible, small but potent library of information about people who immigrated. And also, there are resources on the internet for name changes. When people came from Europe to Israel, they often changed their name to something that was maybe less Germanic and maybe more, Hebraic. So thanks for coming, and you're always welcome, Carol, even if you're zooming in from
Thanks.
California.
Okay, thank you so much. I learned a
Sure.
lot.
Good. Mike, what's up with you?
Well, just while he was talking, I went to the uh, website and did the text search, and I
Yeah.
found about 10 records I hadn't seen before.
And how is that possible, Mike, when you know everything about the cults and the street Ukraine? Wasn't it incredible?
Actually, it was all US records, but um, I found some naturalization records
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where my mom's photo was. It was in a district, Illinois district. It was the petition for naturalization. I have her citizenship photo, but I'd never seen that document before. Now I just feel like I've missed an incredible amount of stuff, and I know what I'll be doing for the next couple of months, like I said. Robert, how about you?
I just have two questions. Can we bring non-member guests to the
Sure.
movie? I don't.
Absolutely. Just register them so I know how many goodie bags
Oh,
to
okay.
create, and I'll put some membership stuff in their bags. Yeah, absolutely. And we have room for at least 60 people, Mike said, if we set it up theater style, so we're good. Yeah, absolutely. Bring them along. And who knows, we might turn them into members.
Well, they're bringing me along, actually, is what
Okay.
I'm not saying.
They're your ride, huh? Okay,
Exactly.
that's fine.
And when does the new dues schedule go into effect? Is that this
Um,
year?
that's for January. So if you go on the website now, Mike has it so that if you haven't renewed, it's going to ask you to renew, but they're not really
Okay.
due until January. But we know where you live, Robert, so we can come and, you know,
Get us
come
early in
and
the
get it if
morning.
we have to.
Yeah, banging on the door in the 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that Mike is known for that. And he'll be wearing his Michigan outfit, so you'll know it's him.
Okay. Thank you.
Ava, how are you doing? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Ava. You're muted. You have to
My
start over.
question is, will the chat stay up as long as I don't shut down from this Zoom meeting?
It'll shut down when I shut it down, and I'll
Oh.
send you a copy of it.
Oh, if you can send me a copy of it, that would be great because a lot of the questions that you were asking were coming from, and identifying people
Yeah.
with questions is hard.
And also there's now an AI feature on Zoom which does a summary, and I'm going to
Yeah.
send that to you too. You can just kind of cut and paste
Oh,
as
if you
you
think
see
that
fit.
would be helpful, it's just I think that AI would have a really hard time following this.
Yeah.
I've used it in my classes and it actually makes me sound literate and organized.
Yeah, except I found this presentation, he was going so fast in some places
Yeah.
and was mentioning things that were up on the screen that AI really doesn't have a way of
Yeah.
seeing. So I think it would be difficult, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So I'll send that to you. We did have about 30 people, which is one of the highest attendance records we've had in on a Zoom call in a while. So this was a topic obviously of great interest. And I was sharing with other members of the board that the idea of letting people in for free for 1 year, new members, seems to be working because we've gained at least 4 and we'll probably gain more.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I thought that David Zendel said something about 14 new paying members. What was he talking about?
No.
Did I
Did he say
mishear him?
Did he say 14?
He said something about 14. I wasn't curious. I didn't.
I
I'll
don't.
just re-listen to the thing and make sure I
Okay.
understood.
Yeah. But
So,
I found it a very instructive session as well. And Todd's story about how he had this so unexpected, that he had a Jewish ancestor who converted to becoming a Mormon. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that movie, The San Francisco Kid. Did you ever see that? With very unlikely Harrison Ford playing a cowboy and Gene Wilder playing a rabbi who's coming across the country to San Francisco, and he needs help, and he encounters this Gentile, obviously cowboy, Harrison Ford, who does not understand anything about why this little schlemiel of a rabbi won't ride his horse on Saturday. I can imagine this poor Rosenbaum guy, gets out to San Francisco, doesn't know a single other Jewish person, and he's lonely, and the Mormons are kind of like the Chabadniks, they're just incredibly friendly and they convert everybody they can. So
but
it's kind
he
of,
had more than he had at least two and probably more than that from what he was saying.
yeah,
Jewish ancestral lines. I mean,
yeah.
not just that one.
Yeah, very interesting. Look what he's done with it. It's just amazing. Well, I don't know about you folks, but I've got some Christmas trees to go and see. That's my other ancestral line. So I'm taking my granddaughter to see the lights at the Chicago Botanic Garden. Hopefully, it's not
Oh, they're
too
already
cold.
all up.
They did Christmas down at Macy's on November 1st. I mean, the outdoor, all the outdoor stuff is up. The walnut room big tree is up. I took my grandson to go see Santa, and that was an interesting conversation because as Santa's saying, well, what do you want for Christmas? Gabe said, we don't celebrate Christmas.
And that kind of floored Santa.
Oh, it did for a second. He said, "Oh," he said, well, just tell me what you want for Hanukkah then." And he said, "You can just whisper it in my ear." And I could see him say Legos, lots of Legos. So it all worked out. He was a very good, a very good Santa, very broad-minded, and apparently prepared to deal with kids who don't
Well,
celebrate Christmas. It was
the
kind
thing
of fun.
that's driving me crazy right now is I went around trying to find some mums so I could decorate the front of my house for Thanksgiving, my porch. And there are no mums. They've got all the Christmas decorations up. It's like weeks before Thanksgiving even.
Have you tried Harris Teeter? Believe it or not?
Yeah, they've got all, and the thing that really kills me is all those Christmas decorations. Like they have wreaths and everything. They're all going to be loose pine on the ground by Christmas because they're going to be so dried out by then. I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand it.
Sorry.
So it's just crazy.
Well, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to coming back to Chapel Hill right afterwards, and I am going to follow up on Mike, see the new chamber room on December 2nd. I guess I'll see all of you, including Robert, on December 7th. Yes?
That sounds great. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with a $50 fee, that becomes a lot more doable.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have to, as I said, I just need somebody to bring the coffee supplies, and that's the only other cost we're going to have. And hopefully everybody
Oh,
will like it.
can somebody just get pre-made, like big things of, Panera coffee?
That's another way to go. It's a little bit heavier for somebody to carry, but we could certainly look into that. I'll see if anybody shows up as a volunteer, and if not, I'll work that
Well,
idea.
I might volunteer that because I'll be coming. So,
Okay.
but I don't know what's more cost effective to do. So,
Why don't you and I get back in touch
okay.
after I go and visit and see their coffee machine, their coffee maker. Mike, did you look at the kitchen at all to see what kind of coffee maker they had and whether we need to bring filters or?
I sent you a picture. I think they have two different. I think they had a pod machine and a. Let me see if I can find the picture.
Okay.
Because unless it's a lot more expensive, just getting the coffee and big things from Panera, then you don't have anything to clean. It's just all done.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess we just have to see how many people also register.
Okay, so they have a regular drip machine with a pot. They have cups and supplies that like sugar and so on. I don't know if there's any dry creamer. There's a refrigerator there. There may be milk in there. I don't know. And then they also have a K-pod machine.
Okay, so they have a pod. What was the first kind of machine? I didn't hear how you described
A
it.
drip.
Oh, a drip. So, like for 8 cups or 16 or?
Yeah, if you can do, if you can let me share my screen.
Sure.
Let me see.
There you go. Okay. So, yeah, I see. So that looks like it's about maybe 12, 16 cups with a filter and then the pods. So the pods would certainly be easy, and we could save them and reuse them if we have a lot, and that way we wouldn't be making more than we need. So that's another way to go. People can make it one at a time. That's just a little bit time consuming. Looks like they also have some urns in the back where we can make the coffee and then put it in the urns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, looks like we've got all different ways to go. So I'll just double check on the other kinds of supplies, whether they have filters. I don't.
And is there a stove at all there to make hot water?
I don't think so.
Looks like they have a toaster.
They do have a toaster and a sandwich press. I'm trying to see whether they have one of those hot water things. There's something on right under the faucet. And I can't tell if it's one of those hot water thingies.
Oh, you mean like a hot water dispenser?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find out when I go there. We have time.
Okay. And if you want me to meet you there,
No, no. Mike, you've done enough this month, more than enough.
but I want to show you downtown Cary.
Oh, that's true. I did give you a tour of the North Shore. So, by the way, I'm going to share a picture with you too.
Deborah, that's just.
Says Santa's real. His beard is real. How about that?
Are you going to send the recording, the YouTube thing right away?
Yeah. Well, it takes a while for it to finish processing, and I'll probably want to edit a little bit of the beginning and the ending. So I won't, but I can send you the link by tomorrow.
All right. I guess I was going to work on this afternoon, but I don't want to even try.
Well, I'll send you the chat and I'll send you the summary right away.
Okay, great.
Okay, Debbie,
I'm going to get off now. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye, Ava. Bye-bye, Lee.
okay, you said that I said that we could get 60 people in there.
The email from Megan said we can turn it into, we could get 60 seats in their classroom style.
Okay, because I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
And
And this is the seminar room, right?
yeah, and that would be about 24 seats, although we could probably get more tables in there.
Yeah, well, there wouldn't be any tables if we do theater style.
Oh,
That's why. Let me double check here what let's see. Cary Chamber Facility. Cary Chamber of Commerce. I thought I saw some pictures of the seminar room set up that way. Chamber of Commerce seminar room. I thought maybe I'm hallucinating. And I'll also, let me just double check here. I thought I saw a picture maybe online, but I don't see it now. But I guess that's something I better double check right away. Let me just take a look at my conversations with Megan. Megan Curvin, seminar room. Okay, let me share this with you, Mike. She said 54 stackable chairs are available. So it's 54, not 60. So I better put that limit on our website. Setting up for 20 people. Is this the same room? No, here it is. This is the room you were in. No, here it is. 24 seated around the table, 60 theater style. You see that at the top?
yeah.
You sound doubtful.
I'm trying to get back to my picture of the room.
I thought it was this picture on the left.
Well, the problem is that it's kind of hard, especially if we're going to be doing food. And if all we have is, if they had 60 chairs in there, they'd probably have to completely get rid of the tables.
Good point. So the kitchen area is doesn't really have a place to set up. It doesn't look like it had a lot of counter space. So we're going to have a couple of tables there, especially near the door or outside the door. And then we'll need a table for inside for food, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I better, I'm going to go ahead and put a limit of 50 there. And when I see Megan, I'll better make some notes here to myself about this or I'll forget. Okay, so table outside.
I'm trying to remember whether they had another room there.
Well, they have it says that they have there's a seminar room, that's the room we have, and a boardroom that has seating for 20. Were you in that room? Which
I think I saw that room. I'm wondering whether we can like have the food in there.
if nobody else is in there, but otherwise I think we probably have to pay another $50 for that. Is it an adjoining room?
I think so. Let's see, research.
Is there some kind of an outside greeting area?
It's a really big lobby. So if you just want to schmooze,
We could schmooze there in the lobby. Could we have food in the lobby?
you're asking me.
Yeah. Is there room for it? Or I guess it'd be better to be in the room. But on the other hand, maybe it's better to have the food outside. People can wander. I don't know. I'll have to look at the setup.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a map of the building.
Good question. I'm going to go ahead and set that limit on the meeting right now.
I don't know how you get 45 people seated around the tables.
You seat them on the inside of the shape, inside and outside.
Okay, well, that's cheating.
Oh yeah, I already have it set for 50. I don't think we'll have that. I don't think we'll have a standing room only situation. But you never know. Free movie, free food. It could happen. And it's a good movie. You've seen it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So they're only charging us $50?
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking on that document with the rates,
Yep.
and it says
I got it in writing. It's only $50 for
weekend room
nonprofits.
rates is $80 per hour for the seminar room.
Yep.
Okay.
I got us a deal. It's a Christmas miracle, Mike. That's all I can say.
You must have jewed them down.
That is such an ugly expression.
I
I
had
know.
somebody who worked for me use that phrase in front of me, not knowing my background.
Somebody said it to me, an IBM employee said it to me on an airplane trip. And I schooled him. Hopefully he won't use it again, or he hasn't used it again. It's been about 20 years. That was just such a, yeah. Well, it was one of those things where I could say nothing and just pretend I didn't hear it, which was my first reaction. Like, is my hearing aid not working? And then he said it again, and I thought, I can't let this go, especially since my husband works for IBM and this guy represents the company. It just, I can't let it go. I can't let it go because it's offensive. It's just horrible. But you can say it to me and I can laugh. All right.
Okay.
Everything good at home?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's about 70 degrees here.
It's not that nice here. It's
Looked good yesterday.
Oh, it was wonderful here yesterday. I guess you watched the Detroit weather. It's almost the same. It's 49. It's actually quite manageable. When it hits 50, I'll go out for a bike ride in my warmest attire that I have. I really layer up. But tomorrow it'll be sunny and up to 50, so I'm in for a bike ride.
We're going up to Detroit on Friday. So
Yeah, for Thanksgiving period.
yeah, we're going to be there for a week.
Do me a favor and eat a cherry pie for me. I get all these wonderful newsletters from the cherry orchards there, and boy, I'm tempted to just drive an hour and a half over to the other side of the lake and visit Michigan. What a beautiful state. How's your brother doing, by the way?
Which
Yeah.
one? They're both fine.
I'm talking about the brother who was not so fine.
The last time I talked to him, he was fine and dandy. So
Good. Okay. Well, I hope you're going to drive up there?
I'm too old for that.
Yeah. Tell my husband. Well, I hope it should be. My daughter and grandson went to New York today, and they said there were no hassles at O'Hare. So with any luck, you won't have a problem getting to Detroit.
Okay.
All right. Well, you have a good one. Say hi to Brenda for me.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. Thanks for all your help this month. You've been great.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.